Well, another space that we're looking at this morning is the auto space. There's some respite coming in for the auto sector. Perhaps too soon to call it a recovery, but there is an improvement in sales that we're seeing on a month-on-month basis, especially in the tractor side. If this improvement could be because of massive discounts, etc., we'll find out. But Bharat Madan, the group CFO of Escorts, joins us on the phone line to talk about that. In fact, in September, there's been a growth of 2.2% that we've seen in sales year on year, compared to a 16% fall that we saw in August. Mr. Madan, good morning. Thanks for joining us. Tell us about the demand situation. You think the worst is over, and do you think October and November could be better than what we've seen this month?
Yeah, we believe so. I think the demand on the ground, we think, is coming back. Given the good monsoon which we have seen, I think, across India now, it's very well distributed. So we think, I think this festive season should do well. I think October, November, like you mentioned, I think September was just the onset of the festive season, the most of the period of the not auspicious period for the people to buy. But there are only 2 days of the festive season which are there. But still, I think there is a lot of stocking which has happened, and we expect probably the month in October and November will likely give good numbers to retail sales.
So, Mr. Madan, good morning. Sir, can we, assume, or can we safely say that the bottom has been made in terms of the declines? And, for the year as a whole, what kind of volume numbers would you hope to do now from here on?
Yeah, I hope so. We also believe probably the bottom has been reached out, so we already see the recovery happening also. You see the trend also in the quarter 1 and Q2 has been only about 8-9% degrowth in the industry compared to 15-16% degrowth. And as we go forward, we expect probably Q3 also will be slightly better than the Q2. Maybe a flattish quarter also in this scenario also will be a very good quarter in the moment. And Q4 will again with the lower base, then at least see a positive trend. So overall, I think for the full year basis, we still expect industry may not be really giving any growth scenario. Maybe optimistic scenario will be a flat industry, or maybe slight single digit degrowth, maybe up to 5%. But recovery definitely start to see there, and the green shoots are available now.
Okay, Mr. Madan, if you can just speak up a little bit, we can't hear you very well. So I just want to reiterate what I heard. You said by the end of the year, you would see either a flat to a minor degrowth in the industry, about 2 to 3%. Is that correct?
That's right.
Okay. In one of the regional newspapers, I did see that Escorts was offering a two-wheeler free with the purchase of tractors. Is this the way that this discounting will continue? I mean, what could the scale of discounting be as we head into the next couple of months? And is this discount situation leading to higher demand?
No, that's a normal scenario. I think in all festive season we have some offering coming up, and this was there last year too. So there's nothing unique about this offer this time. So that's only for the festive period, which normally the case with most of the players. So I don't think there's any additional discounting being offered from the company side at this point in time.
Okay, so no additional discounting being offered. And can you help us with respect to geographies? Where are you seeing the maximum recovery right now? And what could the way forward be?
So especially the market in the north, we have seen the good recovery happening. The market like Punjab, Haryana, UP, and Rajasthan has done well, and part of Telangana has done well. Though there are a lot of states which are still flooded, so I think on the retail side still there is a pressure this month. Because there are states like MP or in part of Gujarat or Bihar, Jharkhand, these are the areas which is actually flooded, so getting customers on to the showroom is really a challenge as of now. But I think as the things recover, we expect, I think with a good monsoon, the next 2 crop seasons should really do well, and we see that the recovery will actually happen pretty sharply.
So, Mr. Madan, just a question. This huge amount of flooding that we've seen almost everywhere, particularly in Bihar, could this dampen volumes to an extent in in the month that just passed by? So can we expect more pressure to continue in October as well?
No, I think now we are expecting probably the monsoon will start receding now, so things will likely start looking better. So obviously there will be some impact because you had the slightly late onset of monsoon, so the sowing slightly got delayed. So this time you will probably have a harvesting season also, which will be slightly delayed by maybe 2 to 3 weeks. Which has one positive thing is then the market probably demand will continue and beyond the festive period. So maybe we expect in the November one should actually do well compared to the earlier hope of only October being the best month. So we think the demand scenario will actually continue to do well, and overall I think the scenario will improve in this market. Yes, last month there has been a pressure on markets of Bihar and Jharkhand because of flooding situation. But we hope that things will improve going forward on this.
Okay, well, that's very optimistic to hear. One final word then from your end. You mentioned that the discounting this time around is nothing different from what we saw last year. It's routine. So can we safely say that there won't be any major pressure on margins because of the discounts that you've offered in this festive period?
Yeah, so it will not be any major impact because of discounting there. Like you said, the discounts are nothing extraordinary this time. They're the normal level which used to be there earlier too. So if any impact happens, it will be basically because of operating leverage. If the industry really corrects itself, so which is in the past too, I think the last 5-6 months, which you see in the decline has been there. So that obviously has an impact. But there's some impact which was there earlier on the product mix, which now I think as the things improve and the market in which we are strong really getting better, we think the mix will also become positive, so that impact should actually get diluted.
Okay. Have you seen any improvement in market share? Your market share was around 10-11%. Has there been any improvement there? And have you been able to see more demand in higher HP tractors?
Well, overall, if you look at the first 6 months, the market share is more or less flat. A very marginal improvement in September, which you see. Normally, the gain in market share for us happens only in the second half, but that's the period where our stronger market really do well, especially in the Rabi season. So when it happens, so we will have the impact visible in the next 6 months, which we are optimistic as of now. So overall, I think as of now, like you said, in the festive season, typically the demand does have a shift. When the industry starts degrowing, the normal tendency for the customer is to shift to the lower HP model, which is more the entry level model, which actually sell more, which is the trend which we've seen. So 40 HP segment actually had done better than the higher HP segment in the past. But now I think as the industry recovers, we'll see the shift will happen to the higher HP too.
Okay, all right, Mr. Madan, we will leave it on that note. Thanks very much for joining in and again giving us some perspective. So basically, we're expecting some improvement from October onwards, and the end of the year could be flat or just very marginally negative in terms of volumes. That's the word from Escorts.
Just a word.